Good morning, yogis. This is Carolyn Crow. I am doing the second of our online class videos for yoga, and encourage you to make sure that you watched the first video, as I gave a few tips on use of props and some other things that would help you engage in your home practice. This morning I am outside the Peaceful Dragon, taking advantage of the beautiful day. And I want to encourage you to do the same, to be creative at this time when you're practicing, to find a place that supports you and your internal state, as well as getting your physical practice in. So as we start this morning, I'd like us all to take a brief pause, find any seated, comfortable position for you. You can also do this standing if you find yourself in a place outdoors where you can't adjust to a sitting posture. Go ahead and start to close the eyes, drop the chin just slightly toward the chest. Feel your inhale through the nose, maybe sigh a breath out the mouth. Exhale, you can make this audible, maybe a ha, just to release any lingering tension mentally, emotionally, and physically. And then when you're ready, I will give you a few moments to pause and notice either the silence that might be around you, or maybe you're paying attention as you practice at home today to the noise, the everyday busyness of life. Address and notice anything that comes up. If it's a sound that might irritate or distract, maybe it's a feeling or a sensation. Imagine that irritation, and then place a bubble around it. As you place that bubble around it, let it go. Maybe it floats up high out a window of your home toward the sky if you're practicing outside. And then again, settle. Back to inhales, exhales. Maybe you start to pay attention to only the sensation of that breath, how it moves into the lungs, maybe the temperature of that breath. And go ahead, if you need it one more time, sigh that breath out the mouth. Give yourself an audible intention, knowing that you're physically, mentally, and emotionally present and ready for practice. If you need any more time in this meditative state, feel free to pause the video and come back. When you're ready, go ahead and make your way to standing at the top of the mat. We're going to work this morning on that sun salutation from the first video once more. So I will do the sun salutation with you, giving you minimal cues, but make sure again that you watch the first video and walk through it a few times. Remembering that always inhales are heart lifting, exhales are forward folding. When you're ready, bring toes to touch, palms press. Inhale, look to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, find a halfway lift. Bring those hands down to the mat. Step or fly back, finding a belly down vinyasa. Modify as needed, coming onto the knees. Again, if you're outdoors, maybe you need to make sure that you have a good surface to practice. Exhale when you're ready to down dog. hold your down dog for 5 breaths. You hold that down dog for 5 breaths. Make sure you're able to really feel the weight of the ground beneath you. Firmly press those hands. Firmly press those heels down. And then after your 5th breath, we're going to step, walk, or float to the top of the mat. Find that inhale, halfway lift as you arrive. Exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, palms press, reach the hands up high overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Stay standing. Notice for a few breaths. These sun salutations are your pocket yoga. You can take it with you whenever you feel the need, no matter where you are at in the world, no matter what space you have available to you. Sun salutation is always accessible to you. So now I'm going to teach you sun salutation B, which is just adding a chair pose and a warrior pose to the sequence. So when you are ready, concluding your sun salutation A, we'll start B. Coming to standing at the top of the mat, palms press once more. Reach those hands up high overhead, bend into the knees through Utkatasana. That's your inhale. Exhale, hands through heart center, forward fold. On an inhale, find that halfway lift. Hands all the way down on the ground, bend the knees if you need. Step or fly back through your high plank. Take your belly down, vinyasa. Lower chest and belly down to the ground. Find Sphinx, Cobra, or Up Dog in your back bend. And then as you're ready, exhale to Down Dog. Sun salutation B. Left toes point to the left edge of your mat. Right foot steps forward. This is inhale, palms press. Reach the hands up high overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center. Step right foot back to meet the left. Belly down, vinyasa. Going at your pace. As you come into your down dog, this time, right toe spin to the right edge of your mat, left foot steps forward. This is your inhale. Exhale, hands through heart center, step left toes back to meet the right, belly down, vinyasa. And then as you come into your down dog, this next set, 5 breaths. Hold. Pay attention, feel, and notice. Your count of 5 breaths. If you need to linger and slow down the breath, feel free to take that extra time at your pace. After your 5th breath, step or fly to the top of the mat. Find that inhale, halfway lift as you arrive. Exhale, forward fold. And your sun salutation B will conclude the same way we started. Bend the knees, palms press, reach hands up high overhead for Utkatasana, fierce pose. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing to conclude. Standing at the top of your mat, just breathe. Again, pay attention and notice. If any sensations start to rise up again, this is a moving meditation. It's a chance for you to place that thought, that sensation in that bubble and let it float away. Take one more round of your own breath. And then as you're ready, inhale, reach those hands up high overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Find your belly down vinyasa. Lower through Chaturanga Dandasana, elbows rub rib cage, chest comes down toward the ground. Inhale for Sphinx with forearms down, Cobra with hands back at the ribs, or Up Dog. As you exhale, we'll all meet in Down Dog. Don't worry if your pace is slower, especially if you're learning, than my cues. Again, always a chance to pause this video and come back. As you breathe in your Down Dog, on your next inhale, we're going to step the right foot to the top of the mat, bend the right knee deeply. Virabhadrasana, Warrior One. Arms extend out to the side, thumbs inside fist. Take 3 vinyasas. Inhale, straighten that right leg. Exhale, sink. Inhale, at your pace, straighten. Exhale, sink. Last one. Take your time. Feel all the movements and engagements of the body. Pull right hip back into its socket. Press left hip forward. Hold at the bottom. When you're ready, take those hands back behind you. Interlace the fingers, make a basket with the hands. Pull those hands back toward the back of your mat and fold toward the inside of the right leg. Right side rib meeting that thigh for Humble Warrior. As you release this posture, place those hands down on the mat. Step the right toes back to meet the left. Find a belly down vinyasa. One more time. Lower Chaturanga Dandasana to Sphinx, Cobra, or Up Dog. Exhale to Down Dog. If at any point that belly down vinyasa doesn't suit you, the energy level you have, or your body's height, feel free to modify. You can meet in Down Dog, holding extra breaths. You can take that 3 count into Child's Pose. You may also modify taking your high plank to low plank from the knees. So good. As you meet in Down Dog, we're switching sides. Next, breath. Left foot steps up to the top of the mat. Warrior One, as you press into the outside blade of the right foot, arms extend out like a T, thumbs inside fist. Your 3 vinyasas. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend. So good. 2 more times at your pace. You'll hold your Warrior One Virabhadrasana at the bottom. When you're ready, next breath. Interlace those fingers behind you. Pull those basket hands way back to the back of your mat. This is strength building. Humble Warrior. Meet left side rib to the left thigh. Push weight into that left foot, still keeping the back right leg engaged. Hands come up high overhead. When you're ready, hands come down either side of the left foot. Take your time. Belly down vinyasa. So good. As you conclude in your down dog, pause for a breath. This will be your chance, depending on where you're at in your practice and the environment that you have to practice in, to take an arm balance. Your choices, if you've been practicing at the Peaceful Dragon and have more experience, is to jump into Bakasana, crow pose. You might also start to make your way into a handstand. I'll give you pause for a few moments as we continue to record. I'll talk, but if you have an arm balance practice that you prefer, go ahead and take it. With a home practice, you might have a wall or someplace else that you could try to practice to kick up the feet. Make sure you keep those hands down. Firmly press those palms into the mat. This is applicable even for your Bakasana, crow pose. As you place those hands down on the mat, if you're working crow, make sure elbows bend in toward the ribs. Shoulder blades are pulled in, back, and down. Give yourself a shelf to put those knees. If you're doing Bakasana, crow pose, and you're just learning, you have the option to do this seated. As you sit on the mat, take that same elbows bent. Hook the armpits over those flat knees as you press the feet down toward the ground. Bend the knees up toward the shoulders and pull back with those elbows. Again, this is a safe option for you if you don't have an appropriate space where falling might be too bothersome, loud, or noisy. I'll show you one more time. Knees bent, feet flat. Take those elbows, hook them over the knees. You can deepen the knee bend if you have space and need to. Pull against those knees with the armpits. Same engagement. Maybe you start to lift the toes so you're noticing how belly is pulling rib cage to thigh. You're using core engagement here to get into a tiny little ball. Keep those fingertips spread out wide, just like you would on the surface of the ground. Take one or two more breaths, still pulling those arms into the knees. Wherever you're at in your arm balance practice, as you conclude now, step or fly back. Find another belly down vinyasa. Super excellent. That was a lot of work. As you come into your belly down vinyasa, pause, reconnect to the breath, smooth out the rough edges. Inhale, fill the lungs to your capacity. Exhale, slow. One more smooth round of breath. And then when you're ready, step that left foot all the way up to the top of the mat. Hands are going to stay down. You're going to lift the right foot back behind you for a grounded warrior. We're still working that connection of bringing rib cage to thigh. So place those hands on blocks or on a flat surface. Try to pull rib cage toward the thighs. Grounded warrior, Virabhadrasana 3. Your 3 breaths. If you want to, from your grounded warrior, and you'd like to work more toward those handstands as additional arm work, you can start to put weight all the way into the hands, lift those right toes up toward the ceiling, drop the crown of the head down to the ground and start to lift up high
on those left toes. Maybe you start to find that edge where weight is fully into the hands, and you might find yourself starting to find lightness in the feet. If you want to balance your grounded warrior, you can reach arms out to the side. And then when you're ready, after your 3 counts of breath at least in grounded warrior, release and switch sides. Right foot comes down, left heel reaches back toward the back of your mat. Really, really pull rib cage to thighs. Really find those hands grounded all the way down on the mat. If you want that handstand practice, again, feel free to take it. This is your chance to be creative. Move the way that feels intuitive and the body wants to go. If you chose to balance, also a chance to find that here. So good. As you conclude your right side, Virabhadrasana 3, grounded warrior, bring the left toes to meet the right. Inhale, find that halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Pause in your forward fold. If you would like to, in this forward fold, you may heel toe walk the feet to the length, width outside of your hips and fold forward. If you have blocks, please take those underneath the hands. If you have a bind, maybe you take 2 peace fingers of each hand around the big toes. Maybe you place the flat part of the palm underneath the foot. Make sure as you're folding, you're still pulling shoulder blades in, back and down, lengthening the spine from the tailbone all the way to the crown of the head. Breathe. From your forward fold, before we move into the next set, we're going to take some twists. So when you're ready, halfway lift. Bend the right knee just slightly, and you can modify this depending on your practice. Take that right hand down to the inside of the right foot. Lift the left hand up high. Maybe you have a mudra or other arm bind that you'd like. You can bring the feet narrow if you have that. Maybe you bind the left hand all the way back around toward the right hip, hooking fingertips in. Anything that feels best to you. Go where you can enjoy and really pay attention to the twist. One more inhale, open that heart toward the left side of your mat. Exhale, fold through center. Always a chance to pause as needed. And then we'll take that same twist on the opposite side. So nice. Take one more inhale, really open that heart toward the right side of your mat. Lengthen through the spine in that twist. Inhale, halfway lift, and then step or fly back through your belly down vinyasa. We'll all meet in down dog. as you come into your down dog. Left foot will step up toward the top of your mat. Stay tucked up high onto the back toe pads of the right foot. Hips are facing forward toward the top of the mat. Same thing. Thumbs inside fist, hands extended out like a T. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, sink. 2 more times at your pace. Vinyasa. Flow with breath. After your 3rd breath, hold at the bottom. And depending on the surface that you have to play around with, I will give you modifications and options for the next. Go ahead and drop that right knee down to the mat. You may take left hand to the back right foot and fold for a diagonal quad stretch. You may have right hand to the right foot, pressing that right shoulder forward for spear pose. If neither of those options are good for you with the surface that you have to work with, to get the quad stretch, you can come to standing on that left foot and do that same bind. Either opposite left hand to the back right foot, right hand to the same foot. Play around with it. Maybe you take Natarajasana, dancer here. If you have a half lotus and a forward fold, do what feels good to you as you arrive, especially if you're modifying practice given the location that you're practicing. If you're grounded on the mat, go ahead and step those left toes back to meet the right as you tuck up high on the back right foot. If you're standing at the top of the mat, fold, lunge the right foot to the back of the mat. Everyone is going to step left toes back to meet the right and find their belly down vinyasa. Very nice. Switching sides. From your belly down vinyasa, lunge that right foot all the way to the top of the mat. Take 3 vinyasas at your pace. You can always come down to the left knee and hold if those vinyasas are not great for you. We're simply building strength into the front grounded right foot. 3 times, 3 breaths at your pace, and then hold. And then you will choose your quad stretch or hip opener, the same that you took on the opposite side. Maybe you brought left knee down to the mat and you reached that opposite hand to the back foot for a diagonal quad stretch. Maybe you took that same side hand to the back foot for spear pose. If you need to come to standing, again, be creative and find what works for you. A few more breaths at your pace. And then make your way, whatever works for you, into a belly down vinyasa. All right, from your belly down vinyasa,
Again, you're going to have choices on this next posture. We're going to get into a little bit of back bending and shoulder stretch combined with puppy pose. So depending on the surface that you're working, if you are outside, feel free to find this on a wall. You may also engage reaching those hands up high overhead, still pulling those shoulder blades in, back, and down. Maybe keep reaching hands back as far as possible. As you get them back behind your ears, still keep pulling those shoulder blades in, back, and down. You can press palms together and find this through a back bend, standing. Do what you need, again, giving the surface that you work with. If you are in that down dog shape, go ahead and bend the knees. Keep the toes tucked. Hands are down. Walk those hands all the way to the top of the mat. Start to pull those shoulder blades in, back, and down. Forearms will come down. You're trying to rest the chest and the chin all the way down to the mat. Feel like you're going to lay your armpit flat toward the mat. Breathe. Few more breaths here. And then from your puppy pose, go ahead and make your way towards seated. As you come through your tabletop, back through a high plank to jump through to seated, whatever works for you. Find any seated, easy, comfortable position. Again, we'll take a few shoulder stretches from here, from seated, simply because it's easier on the video to demo and show. But if you know your Akabuja 1 and your Akabuja 2, and that would feel the best to you, go ahead and take it. We'll start on the right side. Take that right arm all the way up high overhead. We did this on the last video for a scarf bind, only with the arm in front. Take those fingertips like you're gonna pat yourself in between the shoulders. Reach the left hand up and over, grab that right elbow and pull. Maybe you get a little bit more further reach of those right fingertips to in between the shoulder blades. You can also take this as Gomuka arms, right arm up and over, left arm back and around. Same stretch. If you're taking Akabuja 1 with the arm out toward the side, you're still doing the same compression, pulling shoulder blades in together. When you're ready, release and unwind. And I'll show you another seated shoulder stretch, taking right hand, thumb inside fist. Last video, we did Padmasana. This time we'll take that right wrist, touching it toward the outside of the rib. You'll have this chicken arm hanging out here. And then you will take the left hand, grab the fleshy part of the top of the arm, and pull that elbow forward. You'll notice you might have a figure 4 or a square shape made with the arms. If you have a double Virasana in your practice and can use the knees to hold, you may take that double variation here, or simply breathe into the back of the right shoulder. If you took Akabuja 2, because that option on the ground was preferable to you, take one more breath here. Unwind, and we'll switch sides. Again, left arm up and over the head. This is like Gomuka. If you want a variation on that Gomuka, you can reach the right hand to the left elbow and pull that hand and the shoulder stretch deeper. You can also bind right arm back and around toward those fingertips and take your Gomukhya arms that way. Choose what works for you, the least amount of tension mentally and emotionally. Make sure you have full control of the breath in these shoulder stretches. Relax through one more deep inhale and exhale. And then we'll take, release and unwind, left hand, thumb inside fist, back of the wrist to the back of to the side of the rib cage. Take the right hand, grab up and around the fleshy part of the arm and pull that shoulder forward. It may not come far, but as long as you have that box shape, figure four shape of the other arm, that's all you're trying to get. If you did the double Virasana last time, you may choose that here. Maybe you're able to squeeze knees in through center and go a little deeper. So good. One more inhale. Wherever you're at, exhale, release. If you chose to lay flat on the belly for Eka Bhuja 1 and Eka Bhuja 2, please take a moment to bring yourself back up to seated. We're working toward Baddha Konasana. So fold the insides or undersides of the feet toward one another. Pull heels back toward the hips as close as you can. You can bind feet together with the hands, pull elbows to match toward the hip crease and forward fold. You may also take those feet, open them like you're reading a book. Same idea, using those elbows toward the hip creases to increase the stretch of the hips. Two more breaths in your Baddha Konasana. And from here, you can choose to keep the same, stretch of the hips, and take a side stretch with the body. Find a place where the right elbow comes down and reach that left hand up and over. If you would prefer, you can still bind that left foot toward the hips. Reach for those toes with that left hand up and over. Whatever variation is deepest for you, still working the hip stretch, but getting also a good side stretch. Two more breaths. Inhale, back up through center, and then be sure to switch sides. Again, you can ground that left elbow in as you reach the right arm up and over, or you may choose to fold the right leg in toward the heel, in toward the hips, toward the right thigh, and then get a side stretch, reaching for the toes. One more breath. As you come back through center, take a forward fold. This may be seated. This may be standing at the top of your mat. You're going to take hands to the outside blades of the feet. Maybe two-piece fingers as we did the other side of the shins. If you're grounded, fold forward. Give yourself 5 breaths in Paschimottanasana. Again, your 5 count of breath in your forward fold. And now you still have a few more minutes of class to go ahead and take any final postures that would feel good to you. You may relax and find a place on the mat where you can lay flat, finding those spinal twists, pulling knees up into the chest, resting knees to one side of the mat. Inhale back through center, rest knees to the opposite side of the mat. You may always linger in the twist. Maybe you take the opposite hand to help pull more twist into the hips. You can also, if you have a surface that is convenient to do bridge pose or shoulder stand, you may find that option. If you would like bridge pose, place those feet flat, knees pointed up toward the sky, hands reach back toward the heels, lift the hips up toward the sky. Make sure you keep those shoulders grounded, shoulder blades pulled in, back, and down. If you would like a shoulder stand and you know how to get there, feel free to go. Take 10 to 15 of your own breaths. You may modify at any point coming into Halasana. If you have a headstand practice and would feel best with that, you may take it. Give yourself 10 to 15 of your breaths, just letting yourself unwind from the physical activity and the practice. After your 10 to 15 breaths, come to seated. Any easy seated posture to close out with a breath work. I thought about this last night, and there's been a lot of discussion about not touching the face. So last time we did a pranayama where we were closing the nostrils with the fingers. So this time we'll do a pranayama, which is just counting breath. So as you sit in your easy seated posture, you may have hands relaxed down over the knees or hands to heart center. Go ahead and start to count the breath. Maybe start with a 4 count. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath at the top through a 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, same count. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath out. Same count. 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue that breath work at your pace. And when you've felt sufficiently relaxed and at ease, you may stay in a seated meditation or lie back on your mat or whatever works for you to take a Shavasana. The recording will be stopped, but allow yourself at least 5 minutes to meditate or to take rest. Thanks for being here today.